This first story coming in from down south. Mysore police yesterday registered a case. This is under the POCSO Act against Sri Shiva Murthy Murugha Sharanuru of the Chitradurga Mutt. The Chitradurga police have begun an investigation. Now we'll bring you a backstory into this entire story, but it's important to note that victims' girls were taken to Chitradurga on Sunday. Statements were recorded before the Child Welfare Committee. According to multiple reports, the victims have largely hailed from Dalit communities until now. We'll bring you more details about this, but it is important to note that the chief seer has called all of these allegations a conspiracy. But we'll share more details with you about the investigations as they're carrying on right now. Police say that based on the evidence available, the investigation officers will take a call on arresting the accused. In this case, obviously, the seer. Investigating officers has, as we've already said, found that one of the victims belonged to the Dalit community. This fact came to light on Sunday. Therefore, provisions of the Prevention of Atrocities Against SC/ST Act might also be invoked against the seer. My colleague Ritu is with us this morning to bring us a lot more context on this story. Ritu, we're starting the day with this story. For our audiences who might not be aware of any context with the story, could you please bring us more context? How long have police known about these allegations? Where exactly is this mutt located, etc.?
Yes, so this is a very powerful mutt that has been seen in the Karnataka, which is in the Chitradurga, in fact, called as Murugha Mutt, and it also has a very much a big influence on the people or the followers, for that matter, of the Lingayat community as well as politically too. Because we have also seen how any big leader who visits Karnataka also visits this mutt, because this has played a big role when it comes to the elections as well. Last time we saw how Rahul Gandhi, in fact, visited the mutt and took a Linga Diksha there over there. From the theory, he also had a word with the mutt and also spoke about the Basavarna and the Lingayat community, and also expressed his in a way to learn a lot about the Lingayat community. So that's the kind of a big role that this mutt plays here in the Karnataka. But how exactly this came into the light is because the two girls, in fact, who study at that hostel in the Murugha Mutt, in fact, alleged that the chief seer and the others in the case, almost around, including the chief seer, around other four accused in this whole incident. Yeah, the girls too said that they were being, in fact, sexually assaulted for almost around 3 years, as they have said it during the statement record. And that's when you see this whole incident comes into the light. And then later point, they were also being taken to Mysuru, where the FIR was being registered against the mutt, the chief seer, and the other four accused in the case. So later point on 28th is when, in fact, on Saturday is when the case, in fact, was made switched back to Chitradurga, and now that the investigation has started, the victims are also being taken into Chitradurga. So yesterday on Sunday, there was also a statement recording right in front of the CWC Child Welfare Committee, and then later point in the day, the medical test took place, where people also reached at the spot in support of these victims, saying they are with the girls and they don't have to fear anyone, and they can be open about what exactly they have gone through. So this is what we speak about the timeline now. But yes, yesterday being a Sunday, and
Ritu, how long have we known of these allegations against the mutt?
This is, in fact, over a day itself, where this whole story broke out all suddenly after these girls underwent this kind of a trauma, and they reached out in the Mysuru, an NGO over there. So the NGO is one who took this step forward against this powerful mutt and registered an FIR without fearing. So you see, this is the kind of a overday story that exactly broke out in a day, because these girls were going through the trauma for almost 3 years, as we see, because they have also alleged the administrator of the mutt and the warder as well, because the warder, in fact, has been named as in the Rashmi. Now she too has registered an FIR against the Basavarajan, who is said to be an administrator of the mutt. She has also alleged that she too was sexually assaulted by the administrator. So you see, within the story, there are counter and taking place inside this whole incident itself. But of course, now that the statements are being registered by the police in front of the CWC, now these girls will be produced in front of the magistrate, and under 164, the same statements are being produced by the same girls, then that is likely that the police will take the further step by issuing this notice or for that matter about the arrest warrant.
Okay, Ritu, thank you so much for these details. Stay with us, please, because we need to come back to you with more breaking news on this same story for our audiences. This is a case, as my colleague just said, that broke on Saturday. This is a very new story. It's particularly important, and we're learning now that the Karnataka Chief Minister is responding. Remember, political reactions are particularly important because the seer in focus right now is from the influential Lingayat community. Police investigation is, as we said, underway. That's what the Chief Minister's also had to say. The Chief Minister said that it's not appropriate to speak on it when this is going on. Police have given full freedom to investigate. The truth will come out soon. This is part of what the Chief Minister has had to say. Remember, the big breaking part of this story is that the POCSO Act has been put against the Chitradurga-based Murugha Mutt Seer. Now, we'll very quickly take you to what Basavaraj Bommai had to say. Take a look.
ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸು ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿರುವಾಗ ಪಾಸ್ಕೋ ಕೇಸು ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಿಡ್ನ್ಯಾಪ್ ಕೇಸು ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಎರಡು ಕೇಸುಗಳನ್ನು ಪೊಲೀಸರು ದಾಖಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತನಿಖೆ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡೋದಾಗಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಲಿ.
Let's go back now to my colleague Ritu to understand more. Ritu, for audiences that are tuning in from across the country, could you just give us an understanding of the kind of importance and political sway seers like this hold, and which communities they're important to, particularly politically speaking?
Yes. So I'll just speak about how politically these communities influence here in the Karnataka. You see, there's almost 17% of the vote that polling from the Lingayat community itself in the Karnataka during the election. So this has also been seen as one of the big and an influential mutt as we speak about. Whoever so it is, whichever big command, in fact, high command visits Karnataka has always been seen visiting this mutt as well, because that's the kind of a role that this mutt and the chief seer also plays in the Karnataka. And we have also seen every time ahead of the election, most of these leaders, in fact, go and seek blessing of the chief seer and the mutt as well. So that's the very strong messages that are also been put out during the election times. But now you see what CM Basavaraj Bommai, or for that matter, the other leaders have to speak about this whole incident is that, you know, it's a kind of a fear for the politicians as well to speak about it. One, of course, this whole the investigation is on in this matter, but other side as well, because this is seen as in the influential mutt, that might also affect the leaders speaking openly about the case. But you see CM Basavaraj Bommai also saying that as the matter is under investigation, it won't be right for him to speak about it. But of course, the police has taken up the whole incident, and the investigation is now that on whatever is the kind of a fall game, or for that matter, whatever the truth realized in this whole incident must be brought out, is what exactly the CM Basavaraj Bommai of Karnataka also has to say.
All right. And Ritu, I want to ask you here for more details. Could you walk our audiences through, because we should keep our focus also on the victims of this entire story. Since Saturday, could you walk us through the claims that are being made over here by the victims? Could you also tell us, I know some reports are pointing to the role of the hostel in which the victims were living. Could you bring us more information?
Yes. So see, what exactly happened over there is the two girls, in fact, had alleged that the chief seer and mutt, the authorities, in fact, being part of this whole, they are alleging about the sexual assaulting against them. So later point, they also moved somehow pride, escaping to the Mysuru, and there they met an officials of one of the NGO over there, and then the NGO authorities, after listening into these girls, took up that decision, because the NGO officials also say that they were in a very pathetic condition when they visited this NGO, and that's when they took up this whole incident very much seriously and then registered an FIR. But later point, yes, the case was being transferred to Chitradurga, and the girls who were there were also being taken into Chitradurga, one for, of course, a medical test, other one for the statement recording. So